Hello everyone, how are we all doing? We were actually founded by Muzz. Muzz is actually one of the partners, started almost a decade ago. Part of the same holding company, but completely different to HQI. Completely different business endeavor, different entity, different people working, and I'll explain what we are in a second. But before we start, I just wanted to get a show of hands. Who here is familiar with what SEO is, search engine optimization? Nice, okay, so around about half the people in this room. Okay, cool. So if we go to the next slide. So our motto is, we are SUSO, we are SEO. So SEO is the only thing that we provide, the only thing that we do. It is not straightforward, it's not easy. There are a lot of moving parts to it, especially nowadays. There are a lot of companies that offer SEO as part of a plethora of other services that they do, but we specialize in only doing SEO. Even though it's not very tangible, it's not very easy. Question is, why do we do it? Next slide, please. So why SEO? It's a good question. As I said, it's not very tangible because there's no knowing what your actions do for a site and how it can impact how Google will respond to it, how quickly Google will respond. So for those that don't know what SEO is, because there was half the people in this room that didn't know, imagine you have a site, right? Like a company, for example, that sells camera equipment or rents its studios out. You want to appear as highly as possible on Google whenever someone searches for something that you would offer, right? The higher you appear, the higher in the top 10 positions that you appear on page 1, because no one really clicks on page 2. Page 1 is where it matters. Higher you appear, the more traffic you get, and relevant traffic. Traffic from people who are actively looking for what you offer. Not just people who might be interested, are of the demographic, and you're just putting an ad in front of them. These are people who are actively looking for you. So the more you appear in front of these people who are actively looking for you, the more traffic you get to your site, relevant converting traffic, the more money that you make. And SEO traffic, organic traffic, is the most stable and best performing traffic that you can get. So the art of SEO, search engine optimization, is to make sites appear higher. And that's basically what we do. Appear higher for things that you would be relevant to. Things that you would, benefit the market to appear for as well. So you would also enrich the market and you would make money from it. So next slide, please. When you think about sites that get the most traffic, the most engagement, you think about social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and so on and so on and so on. Actually, Google dwarfs all of them. And as I touched on a second ago, it's not just traffic that, it's not just users that are just scrolling mindlessly through their phone, just wanting to be fed information, and maybe an ad will show up in front of them that they might be interested in because they're part of a demographic that some company somewhere is targeting because they're of a certain age range, and, they have certain interests or whatever. These are people who are going onto Google because they have a particular intent. Maybe they want to find a product that they want to buy, maybe a service that they want to inquire for, maybe they want to watch a video, they want to learn more about something, whatever it is. There's something like 12 or 13 different types of intent. So it is within a company's best interest to make sure that you are present when someone does a search for something that is relevant for you, because your competitors likely are. Okay, next slide, please. So, and this actually touches on the last slide, but I call it A and B marketing, right? So there's two types of marketing in my opinion. A is, you're appearing for people who, like we said, might be of a demographic that's interested, and you just kind of put an ad in front of them at the right time, at the right place, either a billboard ad, either train ad, whatever it is, radio ad. But again, these are people, when they search for something like men's trainers, these are people who want to buy right now. Or they're at different parts of the funnel, top of funnel where they're more, they don't really know what they want, they're researching. Middle of funnel is more like they know what they want, but they're comparing their options and they're doing their field research. And the bottom of funnel is they know exactly what they want and they're looking to buy right now, They know what specs they want. They know what service they want. And it's just a matter of finding someone who just appears quickly and they just buy. So when you do a Google search, the results are split into two main segments. There are more, but these are two that we're going to focus on today, right? Because they're the main things that you see. So the top here are Google Ads. They'll say ad next to it. That's how you know it's ads, right? So this is how Google makes most of its money. Okay. When you think of Google or Alphabet, you think tech giant. They make a huge amount of money. They are ridiculously rich, and so on and so on. They control most of the media or whatever. 80.2% of the revenue they get is from this section only. Just from these top results here, these ads that people click on. You can add also, apart from this, it would be, YouTube, AdSense ads that you'd see on websites, on the side, you'd have AdSense, a little banner or whatever. The Google Play Store, Android and all that kind of stuff. But this is the main thing for them. This is their main money maker, all right? So that's why they put that at the top. However, SEO impacts this. This is the organic section. This is the section that you get to rank in for free. If you're relevant enough, if you're authoritative enough, right? If you're useful enough, you rank here. And that's where we get people appearing higher. So if you pay here, if you click here, Nike will pay for a keyword like that. You're probably looking at £4 or £5 per click. Nike will pay for that. But if Nike appeared here, which they don't, they need better SEO, they would get that click for free. Okay? It's just that they're not relevant enough to appear in the top 4 positions. But they've paid enough to be in the top in the ads. Let's go to the next slide, please. So the question is, if there are thousands or tens of thousands of websites that are very similar within a particular niche, that are trying to rank for the same keyword, how does Google distinguish between them so finely and decide that from all of these thousands of websites or thousands of pages that could be relevant to this keyword, why should these top 10 appear in this particular order on Google? So it's Google's main goal, its main objective, is to give you guys what you're looking for. When you type something into Google, you're after a particular thing, and you don't have a long attention span either. So you want to find it straight away, and Google has to be very, very good at that. Over the past decade or so, Google's got a lot clever at doing that. Believe it or not, an SEO's job about 15 years ago was very, very easy. There were tactics that you could do where you could, it's called invisible keyword stuffing, for example, where you could have, where you can have a page that you want to appear for something. You would, around about the bottom or anywhere really, you can insert a bunch of keywords that you repeat again and again and again and again and again, and you would make it white to appear on a white background, so it's invisible to the user but visible to Google's bots, right? And that would make you extremely relevant to that search term. You would appear top place straight away, overnight. You would appear top place, and you get so many clicks and whatever. So when people got cottoned onto this, and Google's user experience started to kind of dip and wobble a little bit because people started to see things that weren't really useful. People would get scammed a lot because people who would use these kind of tactics are usually of the nature to not hesitate with scam-like tactics, right? So Google thought, all right, we need to get very, very good at deciphering between a good result and a bad result, something that's useful, something that's not. And we need to do it at a large scale. So all of these updates that you see, this is just a fraction of these are just main updates, but it's just a fraction of all the updates that have happened over the past 15 years, where Google has updated its algorithm to make it more and more sophisticated, more and more clever at understanding exactly what you want and exactly what site deserves to appear for that. So now we as a company, we're at a stage where we don't want to take a client on if they do not provide something that is better than or unique to at least the top 10 results that are already there that they want to displace. Because if your site or your page isn't good enough, I mean, not only is it something that we don't really want to work on, but also it's very hard to get you ranking because Google's clever enough to understand that you don't deserve to rank there. Next slide, please. So it brings us to SEO now in 2023. As I say, it's a lot more difficult. There are a lot of things that you need to take into consideration, but there are the main pillars, right? So the content that's on your site is the main one. The experience that someone will have when they're surfing your site. How fast does your site load? How well connected is it? If they wanted to explore a different part of the site, is it available? Does it crash? Whatever. How reputable are you? Can I see who's behind the site? Who's behind the brand? You know, that's part of the EEAT, which I'll get into in a minute. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And a big thing as well is your link profile, your authority. So how many other reputable, large authority websites out there are pointing links to your site? Because each one of those links acts as a vote. It acts as, it's a vote of confidence. It says, all right, this site is worthy for my traffic to look at and go to. The more of those that you have, the more likely that your site would be a large authority within your niche. And that was actually one of the distinguishing factors that separated Google from Ask Jeeves, Yahoo, and those kind of search engines back in the day. Is Google was the first search engine to distinguish between sites based on link profiles. So, next slide, please. So SEO isn't really sexy. It's nowhere near as sexy as one of these virtual production things where you've got someone in like a dragon costume, whatever it is, right, floating around, and you've got these special effects and bullets flying. You've got these sexy ads and billboards. It's nowhere near as sexy as that because it's not as overt as that. SEO is really behind the scenes. It's covert. It's a silent, lucrative endeavor for anyone who can make money online. Anyone with a business that would be able to monetize traffic coming to their site, either by way of buying a product or by way of inquiries that turn into leads, that turn into business, whatever. So there are various non-sexy things that go into the work. And also, what's hidden is you don't really know how ubiquitous a site is, how dominant its presence is when you just look at it. Unless you're using a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush, there are some really powerful SEO tools out there that will show you, the keywords that a site appears for, how highly they appear, what's their predicted traffic, and so on and so on. But unless you're using a tool like that, you don't really know. And you don't really know why the tree is so big. Because imagine if you're appearing for a keyword like men's trainers, which is probably getting about 40,000 searches per month, and these are people who are highly likely to convert, and you're JD Sports, they see that you've got all these sexy ads and you've got these sports influencers that are the face of your company and so on and so on. But people don't really realize that actually around about half or maybe most of the money that you make as a company is from just appearing naturally when people search for these money-making, high conversion intent keywords. They don't know why the tree is so fruitful. Next slide, please. So EEAT, experience, expertise. As I say, experience. How much do they like the site? Expertise. Do you appear as an expert within your niche? How many people who contribute to the content on your site are qualified to talk about what they're talking about? How many accolades do they have, and so on and so on? People who guest post on your site. How reputable are you? Like, for example, the camera production company. Sorry, I'm not from your industry, but the camera production company that spoke first. Yeah, sorry, you're right there. You guys have been in the industry since 1917, right? Okay, so that's a very, very long time. If you can effectively display that, which a lot of businesses don't, by the way. A lot of businesses have incredible, rich histories behind their business model, but they fail to have that reflect on their site. They fail to show their accolades on their site for Google and for the user to see. I don't know if you have that issue, but you'll probably find. I mean, I can probably talk to you guys afterwards. But so that is a huge ranking factor, right? Because if Google doesn't see it, it doesn't matter what you've done over the past 100 years. Google doesn't know. So your expertise, your authoritativeness, again, your link profile, that's a huge indicating factor for this. And your trustworthiness. Things like your privacy policy, your returns policy, trust building signals on your site, things that will tell the user or the customer that you are legit, that if they give you their money, that it's not just some kind of scam. Next slide, please. So, yeah, content is important. Content's very important. It's how you tell Google what your site is about, what stuff you're talking about. So we have this thing called topical clusters, where you have a topic and everything underneath that topic you talk about. Any questions that people ask underneath that topic, anything that someone would want to know and be curious about, or other things that could be relevant to it, you would cover that entire thing within a topical cluster. And that is what actually captures the majority of the visits to your site. Next slide, please. So this content does three really main things. Again, there are the different intents that people have, the different parts of the funnel. Most people and the most broadly matched keywords are the ones that attract people who kind of don't really realize that they need it, but they're searching for something that could indicate that they actually need what you're offering. And then in the middle, you've got the prospects, people comparing, researching. And then you've got the people that are ready to buy today, ready to make a transaction today. Next slide, please. So it's important, if you're serious about having a strong presence on Google, or on search engines generally speaking, you want to cover all these areas. All these possibilities for people as to why people are searching for you or would search for something that you're relevant to. Customer generation, brand discovery, brand exploration. I mean, these are all things that we cover as part of the keyword research when we take on a client. Is what are all the possibilities that this client or this site can appear for right now? Let's draw out exactly what all the keywords are and map them to the pages of the site so that each page has a keyword or two designated to it. Next slide, please. So here's the thing. Back in the day, back when you can do the invisible keyword stuffing stuff, it used to be all about the page that you wanted to rank for a keyword, and it would appear, and then someone would see what they want to see, or buy whatever they want to buy, and they go somewhere else. And site owners didn't really care about the experience of the user. They just, as long as they see that and go somewhere else, it's fine. So they would land on one page and go somewhere else. However, now, your site needs to be almost an ecosystem in and of itself. You really need, as part of this whole topical cluster and topic covering all sections of a topic that is relevant to you, you want someone to land on your site on one end of the funnel, research what they want to research, go somewhere else, research what they want to research, and then convert on your site in one visit. And if you're able to do that, your conversion rates will go very, very high. You'll get a lot of traffic that you can actually monetize, and SEO will be a lot more effective for you. Next slide, please. SEO is a long-term strategy. It doesn't happen overnight. For example, the first month of our service would be just research and analysis on the entire industry on your site and all that kind of stuff, and we'd understand what the roadmap is. And then month 2 would be, we would start to implement that for people. So, we'd start to build the links, we'd start to create the content, we'd start to make the technical changes to make the site load faster, interlink better, and all that kind of stuff. So, and then that kind of builds on itself month after month, and you should have an accumulation of changes that you've made to your site over the course of 6 to 12 months that Google then indexes, because Google takes a while to index things as well, and sometimes Google doesn't index things correctly, and so on. So it does take time. There are reasons why. So next slide, please. What you don't want is to be here. You don't want to start the investment 3-4 months in, and then, Google starts to put you on page 3, page 2, and then you start to see the return on investment over here, but by the time that comes in, you've quit. You could have been up there, but you're not, because you just wanted the results now. That's not really how SEO works. That's how PPC works, the ads at the top that we saw at the top of the last slide. Because as soon as you have your Google AdWords account running and you put money in it for Google to take, you appear immediately. And as soon as you want people to click on it, and you want that 6 or 7 or 8 pounds per click to happen because it means someone who has that intent has clicked on you and is now gone to your site. But SEO takes time. It takes a while. Next slide, please. For example, this is a site called Triplo that one of our clients, maybe you guys would have heard of them. They're a travel website. So they actually were hit by an algorithmic update. So these updates, when Google makes those, you know that slide where you had like the 20 or 30 different updates that Google's made over the past 15 years or so. Whenever these big updates happen, a bunch of sites that were using shady tactics tend to dip or fall off the edge of a cliff. And Google tends to kind of shake up the results that are currently at the top. So they were a victim of that. They were using kind of dodgy tactics, so we almost had to start from scratch. So by the time they came to us, they were at the lowest that they've had for years. And as you can see, I mean, 2 years later, they're now higher than, their peak was slightly above this before. It wasn't as high as that. If we could extend it to back to 2018, they were actually higher than that, but only slightly. But this is the highest level they've been, but that took 2 years. And in that time, they had some technical changes they made to their site or whatever, and there was a blip. And this is the thing: SEO goes up and down. The results that you tend to see is up and down. It's not a linear line, but overall, over a long enough period of time, the overall direction is upwards. If it's a company that knows what they're doing. Next slide, please. So yeah, I mean, who we are. So all we do is SEO, as I say. We are an international team, but we have about more than that, actually. We have about 55-ish people in Poland, split into different departments of SEO that specialize in the different areas, and that's how complicated SEO has become to deliver, because you can't just have one person who is an SEO that covers all grounds. You need to have someone who's very, very creative in one department that takes care of the content strategy, the user intent analysis, the conversion rate optimization, the psychological stuff that people want to see when they land on your site. And then you have to have the technical guys, the engineers, the techies, the people who optimize the code of the site to make the site load faster and all that kind of stuff. So they're completely different types of brains. So we split that into 3 main delivery departments. So we've had a bunch of clients that we've worked on over the past few years. We also have a lot of other agencies who white label our service. So other agencies who perhaps don't have a team that's as large or as capable as ours, and they have clients who need the SEO service that we offer. So they come to us, they would buy our service, and they would deliver that to their clients as theirs. They'd slap their brand on it and deliver it as theirs. So we have a lot of people that we work with like that. And yeah, so front-end, back-end SEO support for agencies. Yeah, so we take on all sorts of clients, but again, this is very important. They have to benefit the niche that they're trying to rank within. They have to enrich the audience and the searchers that land on their sites. They have to enrich their experience. So as long as they're doing that, we can take them on. I think that's it. Next slide. That's me at the end there. Thank you very much.